Hey, kia ora, Helen, Brahms here, coming to you live from Colorado Springs in Colorado. Have you had a super fantastic, sparkling, thankful Thursday? It's been an awesome day here. I've been resting up, twisted my knee this morning while we're out walking. So just been giving a little TLC today and sitting comfortably and in the recliner, ice packs on and off, some, some pain cream stuff on there, oils, just to help with the pain a little bit, but it's doing good. It's doing good. Not hobbling. I'm not hobbling, so that's very good. But I was just I kind of tripped a little bit on the walk because there's a place where there's about this much gap from one piece of pavement to the next, and there's several places like that. In other places, it's just got like a little hill, so you kind of trip over them. If you're not watching where you're going, more eyes were on the dog than they were on where I was putting my feet. So how was your thankful Thursday? What things are you grateful for today? Did you express, let's see, did you show gratitude today? Did you send thank you cards to your team to say thank you? And what fun activities did you have in your journal today? Did you start a gratitude journal if you don't already have one? Or if you do have a journal, did you start writing about what things you're grateful for in there? I haven't done my list yet today. Done it verbally, I just haven't written it. So that might be a task for me to do tonight. And we've had let's see, so it's been a quiet day, just been doing some genealogy research, checking out some classes to take for my certifications and things, and even looked into forensic genealogy. There's a class for that too, but I have to do some other classes before I can do that one. That sounds really cool. It's all about finding missing people and using genealogy to find it and that sort of stuff, and helping reunite families and things. So that would be a really cool thing to get into. So I've been actually started researching it today. And then our genealogy question is from Amanda, and she wants to know, what facts should you know about every ancestor in your tree? That's a great question. I mean, any information you can get on ancestors in your tree is awesome. But there are, excuse me, I ran out of water too. There are 10 facts that you should know about every ancestor in your tree, but anything over and above that is bonus. But some of the things that you should know, you like your vital statistics. Where and when were they born? Did they get married? Did they pass away? Where are they buried? If they're cremated, are their ashes encrypted somewhere? Are they in a plot with somebody else, or are they sitting on somebody's mantelpiece? So for every occasion, like birth, marriage, death, and burial, you want to know when and where. And with the marriage, you also want to know who. And if you can get the certificates, even better, because on the certificates there's all sorts of information in there. You'll find their parents' information on there. You'll find the maiden name of the mother on some of this information. You may even find when they were born on there. You'll also find the occupations on there. On the birth and the marriage one, you'll have the occupation of the father on both of those, and on the marriage and death certificate you will have the occupation of your ancestor. Now, why is that important? Because it's one of the 10 things you should know. What did they do? So that's 4 things right there: birth, marriage, death, when, where, and occupations, and what other information is on those things. Other records that you can do is faith-based records, baptisms, confirmations, what religion did they belong? Did they have a religion that they belonged to? Were they Catholic? Were they Jewish? Were they Baptist? Were they Methodist, Presbyterian? There's a whole range of them. Were they off on some other religion that I didn't mention? Islamic, what religion what was their religion, and then what pivotal ceremonies did they have within those religions? So there's some where there's like baptisms, confirmations, dedications, all sorts of different religious ceremonies that they would have gone throughout their life. Because I know that different religions have different ceremonies when kids get to certain ages. So, first confirmation, all of that sort of stuff. So those are other records. So faith-based records, which is what religion were they and what involvement did they have in any important religious ceremonies that as they achieved each age. Then the next two things you need to know is what was their occupation or the industry they were in. Were they a farmer? Were they a metal worker? Were they a blacksmith? Were they a jeweler? Were they a foreign agent? I have a foreign agent in my thing, in my family. On one of, which was it? On one document it says that my fourth great grandfather, this is the one that I'm trying to find, was a jeweler that was on a census. On another document, which was his son's wedding certificate, it said he was a foreign agent. So I was like, oh, and of course I saw that one first. I was like, oh, he was a spy. No. Then I later found out that on the census it had that he was a jeweler, and I was like, he's one of those traveling ones that would get on the ships, go to the foreign countries, bring back the jewels. So he was that sort of a foreign agent, one of those ones. Excuse me. So what occupation or industry were they in? Did they have any military service? If they were in the military, what were they enlisted, or were they an officer? What branch of the service were they in? You can learn lots of things about them. Did they get any medals? Were they awarded any citations? Is that the right word? Yeah, I think that's the right word. No, hang on, citation. Oh, hang on. Oh, is it the right word? Hang on. Brain freeze. I'll come back to that one when I think of it. Maybe another video on that one. And then census records as well. Census records are awesome for this. You can find out there what their occupations were. On some census records, based on where they were done, when they were done, you can find out a ton of information. There were some census records that will show you where they were born. All of them, excuse me, sorry, dry throat and my water bottle's empty, so I don't have to frog through this. So on census information, on census records, you can get information like, and depending what country it is, what year it was, because different years they also ask different information. But their main information they get was the name, their age, if they were male or female, if they were married, widowed, or single, what occupation that they had. Even the kids had occupations written down. If they were in school, it had student or scholar or something like that. Then it may have had where they were born, and it may have had what where their parents were from. So where their parents were born. So this is really good for those here in the States when they ask those questions, especially in the 1800s when you had a lot of migrations and stuff coming, people coming into the United States as well. It may have had there that the parents were from Italy, and the son was and their son was the first generation American. So things like that you can find out from census records, as well as their occupation as well. So census records are huge. I mean, like I said, depending on when and where the census were taken, there's a wide range of information that you can find out from there, as well as where they lived as well, what county they lived in, what town they lived in. Even they will have the actual address there as well, because they'll say like Baker Street, and then they'll have like the numbers down there next to them. You can also look, it also pays to look on the same page as them as well. Who were their neighbors in the same street? Sometimes you had parents living next door to their kids. Sometimes you had siblings living next door to each other. In one case, I found out with my third great grandfather, I found out on his baptismal record, which was done on his 5th birthday, the baptismal record directly below him had the same mother. So there was 2 mothers there, and it was like, the mother was the same. And on my third great grandfather's one, it had my 4th great grandfather at a different address than my 4th great grandmother. And I was like, huh, what happened here? And I happened to glance at the baptismal record down below, because sometimes they will get siblings baptized at the same time. And sure enough, there was a half brother there, and she was, and it had a different father. And I thought, well, who is this guy? So I went and researched him, found him on the census record where it listed my 4th great grandfather as the jeweler, and then next door neighbor was this guy she ended up getting married to and having this kid with. So, and he was a bookbinder, and that's how my 3rd great grandfather became a bookbinder. So I'm still trying to find out what happened to my 4th great grandfather. So census records are very, very interesting and very enlightening. And then other thing, and so, you know, geographic information. Where did they live? When did they live there? when did they move? You know, if they moved from one town to another town, did they move from one region to another? So like in England, did they move from one county to another county or within parishes? Did they migrate from England to another country? If they went to, where did they go? So then you can find, with the migrations, you can find the shipping records, you can find immigration records, which will then give you other information too, because the immigration records will list who came in together as a family. So was it brothers and sisters? Was it mum, dad, and the kids? What ages were they? Where had they started their journey from? On some immigration records, it has what religion they are. It definitely has their occupations as well. So there's all sorts of information on those things that you can find out just by looking at them. And then you can create this map following your ancestors' journey. You know, where did they start? Where did they go? And all that sort of thing, which comes in handy when you then, if you then want to go back and trace the footsteps of your ancestors and go and visit the places that they came from, that sort of thing. Even you know, if they were in the military, did they serve in World War I, World War II, or any of the other wars that were on there? The Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Boer War, the different land wars in different countries and things. Did they fight in any of those? You know, the Civil War here in the States, American Revolution, did they fight in that? So when you find their military records, you can find out where they fought as well. So you can even go and visit the battlefields that they fought on. If they were killed in action, you can go and visit those, because they will have, usually they have markers up there of some sort. Or it could be a memorial that may have everybody's names listed on them. If they don't have everybody's names listed on them, there's usually an office there that you can go to, like a visitor center or something, and you may be able to look up a listing of all the people who were killed in action on that particular field. And you can learn more about the battle that took place there as well. So there's lots of, just on those 10 pieces of information, you can come up with this entire life story of your ancestor. And then there's a whole slew of other things that you can go find out too. Things like, were they named, you know, what names were they given, and were they named after anybody? My middle name's Mary. I was named after my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother thought it was wonderful, and then she found, and when they were told I was Helen Mary, they thought, she was like, oh, you've named her after my sister and me, because she apparently had a sister called Helen. Took me a while to find Helen. It really did. And she was actually Helene. No, Helene? Yeah, Helene. Not Helen. But my great-grandmother thought that I was actually named after her. Her and her sister. So they're married definitely after her, which is kind of cool. So when you carry that kind of heritage in your names, it's kind of an honor to be able to say that I was named after my great-grandmother, or I was named after this person. So if your grandparents are still alive, if your parents are still alive, find out these stories. Why were they named what they were named? What stories were they told about how they were named? What stories do they have about their childhood and things? Anything you can find to pad out all that other information that you've got. Electoral rolls are really cool as well, because it shows you where people lived. And then if you're looking for that same name in that same town, it will have them all listed there, and then you can go and see and it's got their addresses. It'll have their full name, their address, and what their occupation were in some of the earlier electoral rolls. I know this is for New Zealand, same in Australia. England, I haven't looked at the English electoral rolls. They're more the census ones I go after. But in New Zealand, we don't have the census records like you have for England and the US. So we go by the electoral rolls, and on there it would have their full name, it would have their address, and what their occupation was. It wouldn't have their children listed, but in some cases where you've got the older parents with their kids, you look for that last name, and you can see everybody listed with that last name. And if they're all in the same area, you can look it up on a map to see, you know, how close do they live to each other, and then you can pair up the husbands and the wives because they're all living at the same address, because of the addresses and all that sort of thing too. So that's another way that you can find spouses, is on electoral records. So there's a ton of information out there that can give you a great insight into your family history and about the people that you descend from. So those top 10 pieces of information, just to quickly, vital pieces that you should know: birth, marriage, death, and burial, when and where, what religion were they, what religious ceremonies did they take part of, as far as baptisms, christenings, confirmations, first communions, those sorts of things. Again, when and where for those. Occupation or industry that they were in, and if they had any military service, information from census records. We'll give you some of that too. But then also where they lived, where they moved to, is the other portion too. So thank you, Amanda, for your question on what facts you should find out about your ancestors. Those are the top 10. There's a whole bunch. We even have like a lists of questions that you can actually ask your family about that to help fill in your family tree and stuff. You know, even just starting off as simple as just ask them what information do they know about the family, what family stories are there, myths and legends within the families. You know, we have heard, or the rumor is, you'll get those types of things coming in as well, and that's where the mystery comes in, and that's when you go looking for that little tiny thread in the needle of haystacks, and then when you find it, you just start pulling it very gently, and soon you'll find out if it's the right thread. If it's not, you got to go find back the other thread. That may be the right one. But it's a lot of fun. I love it. I have a blast with it. If you want to know more about researching your family tree, either doing it yourself or having somebody do it for you, please send me a private message and we will get you all hooked up with that. Have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we will catch you guys tomorrow. Hei konera.